Tesla doesn't know what they're doing, you guys. The people who hate it so much are absolutely confident that the Cybertruck was still a bad idea and they should have instead done the compact first, but they didn't. Why on earth would they do that? It turns out I'm confident there are some very good reasons why that happened, and I'm joined by my good friend Herbert from Brighter with Herbert, and we're going to discuss what's going on with that. I'm Brian. Welcome to my Tesla weekend. Herbert is back once again. Hello, my friend. So good to see you.
Hello, my friend. It's great to see you, Brian.
Yeah.
I love
Now
it.
we have talked a time or two about this thing called the Cybertruck. I hope I'm saying that right. And also the compact. Now, first of all, let's get this out of the way. Cybertruck, was it a mistake?
Okay, before we talk about that, you called it Cybertruck and you're making that joke. Let's not call it the compact. I would call it the cyber car. And the reason I'm going to call it the cyber car is because one of the reasons why they chose to do the Cybertruck first before they went to the cyber car, the compact car, is they needed to build the platform, the technology. We'll get there of what it is that's going to make the cyber car, which they need to do in volume in order for that compact car to succeed. So it makes sense to test it in a smaller volume vehicle segment first. Therefore, the Cybertruck comes first. But there's a lot of moving parts to this discussion, this debate. Let's get there. But so yeah, let's start
So,
talking about that.
well, we'll start
Mhm.
by saying if the compact, the cyber car, is the end goal, then you could argue that anything before it was wrong. That the Model Y with its
Why'd you
lightly
know?
unboxed method was just a waste of time. That the Model 3
Mhm.
with mostly stamped components and no structural battery, what a waste. But those are stepping stones that get us there. And the Cybertruck is a big step closer to the unboxed process. So in that regard, I see what you mean. Is that what you were getting at?
I want to dive deeper into that, but let's just step back a bit and understand the argument that some people are making, right? That they're basically what happened was the Cybertruck was announced, but it was delayed, right? So for 4 years. But then what happened in between that was there was a massive COVID scenario that happened. There was supply chain issues, chip issues. Then there was the price war, right? So the margins were falling because interest rates were skyrocketing, right? The macro hit. And so the people who complained are the reacting to the macro environment that happened. Interest rates went up, and therefore Tesla responded by doing cutting prices. And they had to cut the prices, by the way, to just the prices that the Model 3 and the Model Y were when they were first introduced. And it skyrocketed because of the supply chain issue and the COVID. And then they just brought it back to where it was before. But the investors, like the institutional investors, like Gary Black, they're very upset because, hey, you're eating in my margins. My forward-looking earnings numbers are lowered. Now I'm getting hit. Now I'm not going to be able to show good numbers this year. Why did you do that? You should advertise first instead of lowering prices. Okay, but I said to Gary, like if you advertise in January and did not do the price cuts, you're trying to advertise a car that is, you know, 20% more expensive than a gas car. You think that that's going to succeed? They needed to get to price parity. And then now you could do advertising now. But secondly, the issue was that they're saying, well, they should have listened to me, right? I told them that they should have launched a compact car before the Cybertruck. It's hilarious that I think people are saying I've been saying this to them, and they make Tesla doesn't know what they're doing. Why? And the reason they're saying that is that instead of, like with the prices so high, what you should have done is launched a compact 25,000 car to be able to sell that to the segment because price is so sensitive. That's the argument.
So I've seen all those arguments, and we apologize, Dan and Gary and Ross, that your numbers are now not good. I would argue that your stock astrology may have been off the whole time and just it wasn't yet evident. But the real problem I see is we want to make millions of the compact, not 500,000, not maybe a
Right.
million of the Cybertruck, millions, maybe even millions per continent. There aren't enough batteries. And it's not a question of, well, Tesla could have built more battery factories. That's not enough. You
Good
need
point.
an all of the above approach that starts with the minerals coming out of the ground.
Yeah, so that's one example, right? So let's talk about that a little bit. So let's say the compact car is launched, and that so people are arguing that you should have done the compact car before the Cybertruck. Why didn't you? Okay, let's play this out. When you launch the compact car, you need to bring the price of that car to be $25,000 or less. In order to do that, you need to have mass volume of this. Mass volume. This isn't going to be a release where they're only going to trickle out. You know, they need to ramp as fast as possible. They can't take 2, 3 years to get to those numbers. They need to be sooner so that the price and the impact to them, right? The cost of the factory, the cost of everything to build is going to be, you get to the profitability point as fast as possible. So in order to do mass, you just said it, right? Batteries need to be prepared in mass. Well, you need the years, like you said, lithium refinery, groundbreaking. You need to have all these partners in place. You need the 4680 technology to ramp up. And the last earnings call, Drew Baglino said, yeah, we're not this year in 2024, we're not battery constrained, and that we're very confident that we're going to see 4 lines for the 4680, and that it's an exponential curve. I think he said that twice, that this beautiful thing about the 4680 battery situation is going to be an exponential curve. Okay, so that's step one, batteries. The second thing I've been pointing out is that, when you're trying to test brand new technology, right? This isn't just, let me take the Model 3, let me replicate the Model 3 and make that a cheaper version of the Model 3 and make it utilitarian. That's not what they're doing. They are completely redesigned the factory, right? A complete unboxed model that they've never done before. They're doing a steer by wire. They're going to do the brake by wire so they can do more of the Lego setup. The reason they're doing that is because that is one way to reduce costs, right? They said it's going to be half the factory footprint, half the cost to build this car. And then they're introducing new technology like the 48 volt battery, 48 volt system. So when you have brand new, and this is just one, there's many, many new technologies that they've implemented here. When you introduce new technology, you can't risk yourself using that new technology on a product that needs mass volume. You're risking yourself that if one of those fails, then you're going to be unprofitable for yet another year, or it's going to be failure, and all these cars need to be recalled, whatever it is. It's much safer for you to launch those net new technologies on the Cybertruck, which is going to be a reasonable number of volume. Once it's proven there, which is what they're doing, this is all happening right in front of our eyes. All this new tech is really what's differentiating the Cybertruck. That's why I joke that it's a cyber car, because a lot of the tech that's being done in the Cybertruck, which is what they call pseudo, it's not quite unboxed model, but a lot of the
Unboxed
unboxed model,
light.
unbiased light, is being tested. This is a way to test it in smaller numbers. It's not going to be that hit on Tesla's numbers if they don't hit their 70,000 sales this year, if they don't hit their 280,000 sales next year. These are smaller numbers for them. But if they don't hit 1 million and they roll it out in a compact car, that's going to be a massive impact to them. So there's new technology. And so this is the thing when people say they should have done the compact car ahead. And I'm like, well, this is new technology. And though this is not manufacturing tech and car vehicle tech, software tech, hardware tech, all that is completely new. You can't rush that. And that's why it's actually perfect timing that they're launching the compact car after they've done the Model 3 refresh. They've got the Model Y, the Giga castings. Now they've got the Cybertruck new tech that's out there. Now they're able to really build a factory with confidence and to build a new compact car with confidence, because a lot of the tech that they've already done is being replicated here. That makes sense? Yeah.
Absolutely. I would add a couple things. The Cybertruck isn't delayed by 4 years. It was announced 4 years ago. It's delayed by a year or two. Part of
Yeah.
the problem was when they first broke ground on Giga Texas, the plan was to build it in 3 phases at 3 different times. And during the process of clearing the ground, they did a $5 billion cash raise and then a second $5 billion cash raise. And it was decided at that point, no, we're going to build the whole thing at once. It's going to be
Hmm.
one truly massive building. Now, if they had planned to build the compact first, and let's say if they'd have done that, they could have focused, they could have got it out by now, like you were saying with the batteries, They have enough batteries today for the production level of Cybertrucks today, which is to
Mhm,
say, not very many. If it was a
mhm,
year ago and it was a vehicle designed for 4 times the volume,
mhm,
even at that little ramp that they would have been having, we would have exhausted the global supply of batteries. So it doesn't make sense. And the other reason I'm calling it compact instead of cybercar is Elon said on the earnings call, unless I misheard, that this is going to be a little bit more traditional than the Cybertruck.
mhm.
Is it really to be determined? I mean, kind of anything, even something pretty radical, could still be more traditional than the Cybertruck. It's a little out there. And when I see it, I was showing, I love my children so much that I make them watch drone footage from time to time. And seeing the Cybertruck in the outbound logistics lots is surreal. It doesn't make my head is still broken from it, and I love it. Is it yeah. So could they have done the compact first with the kind of scale and efficiency that we're likely to see now that we've got the lessons learned from Cybertruck or will have had them learned and waiting for the battery supply to catch up?
I
Is that
mean, yeah, I mean, you could have, yes, you could have argued and say, well, just create the model, like a Model 3 Lite version of this, strip it out, but basically make it the same. Now, the argument is, what I guess you might be able to answer this, but I certainly can't, which is if you did that approach, right? No new technology, just take the Model 3 that you've done, the Model Y platform, and create this not new production plans and all that. Could you have reached the sub $25,000 car? You did one time did a show. I love that one show you did where you went and broke it down, right? All the different ways and why the car could be reduced in price.
Mhm.
And that's the question. If they did that, could they have done this sooner?
The
Um,
answer is no. And I will tell you
mm,
why the answer is no is there are companies in China already trying to do that with cars
yeah,
for the European market, and they can't get close to 25 even while losing money. The Volkswagen ID2 is supposed to be a polo size, a Volkswagen polo size, and at 27 they are expected to lose money and it's going to have subpar range and it's going to be too heavy. We need all these tricks. We need to pull out all the stops, do every little trick we can to get the weight down, the manufacturing time down, the cost down. If we can skip the paint shop, if we can skip 200
yeah,
robots
yeah.
in the
Skip the
assembly
paint job.
process, you need all of those tricks. And then the weight's down, now you've got the cheaper brakes, tires, suspension, wheels, all of that. And it's not just that the car has to be 25,000. It's that it has to be 25,000 with a profit and the specs that people are willing to purchase. It doesn't matter how cheap it is if you've got no buyers. And
Yeah,
that's
the
your
other
answer.
argument that some people, I think, misguidedly say is they go, well, we learned from the Walter Isaacson book that Elon really didn't want to build the compact car. He had no interest in doing this. You can see it in the book. He really wanted to build a robotaxi first designed car, and he had to be dragged to create the compact car. So now they're saying that's why it was delayed because he himself wasn't wanting to do this, wanted to go right to robotaxi, and of course he was wrong. That's not what happened. If you look and read that book again and look closely, it's not like his decision in any way delayed anything. Um, and then the executives just, well, as they were planning what to do, that's where the conversation leads to. And they were saying, well, why don't we do both? Let's do both. And then they had to convince him to do both instead of him saying, no, 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 I'm so confident robotaxi. Sure, let's just do a robotaxi. That decision, that discussion did not in any way delay. It's not like you know, they were well on their way creating a robotaxi car. And then they said, we shouldn't be doing this. We should be doing that compact car now. And now we're delayed because we were doing that. That's not what happened.
Mhm.
So people are
I
just
agree
very
with you.
funny.
I agree with you 100%. So Cybertruck came first because it had to, because it was the logical next step. And because every time I have second guessed Tesla's leadership, I've been the one who was wrong. If they'd have listened to me, they'd have been less successful. So in the comments, guys, what do you think about that compact? Are we crazy here? And what's it going to look like? Let us know. Leave it in the comments. And everybody else, stay tuned, stay juicy. And I cannot wait to hear from you, clever robots, on the next one.